All right, welcome back. New Guys episode 18. The recording took a bit, couple tries to start, but we're back. We are finally actually sponsored by someone. Anchor decided to throw us a sponsorship. You'll see some 30-second ads somewhere in here. I don't know where they put it, but be sure to listen through and give us that money, please. But
my family of 6 depends upon it.
No, but
Kraft mac and cheese ain't gonna buy itself.
Hey, we respect all the 45 people who've listened. Let's get to
Thank you, for real.
Yeah. All right, so news this week. Pretty big news regarding Mookie Betts. He went ahead and signed a 12-year deal extension with the Dodgers, $365 million. He was obviously just recently traded by the Sox. This is a split Red Sox nation. At least from looking on social media, people are either hating Mookie or hating management. And it's really just whether you blame John Henry and Bloom for not trying to sign him or not actually signing him back, or you blame Mookie for not wanting to stay here. I tend to lead towards the side of the people that blame Mookie. I mean, I don't think he honestly wanted to be here, and I don't blame management because they attempted multiple times to try to sign him to a deal, and he just kept declining, and he kept coming back with absurd numbers. I think one of them was 12 for 420, and then you're paying him Trout numbers, which I don't think he's Trout yet. So what do you guys think about that?
Fuck Mookie Betts. Fuck management.
Right off the bat.
Pat hates everyone.
I hate everybody. I want all the smoke.
So
that's going to be the title of this episode. Pat wants to smoke.
Pat wants to smoke.
So here's what I feel, man. I think that, honestly, I don't think anybody's at fault. Because, for one thing, we got a ring out of Mookie.
Yep.
Which is more than a lot of other teams can say about their star players. And so, whether we re-sign Mookie Betts or not, our team that we have right now was not going to be at the same level as that 2018 squad, simply because the bullpen is just not what it was when we won. And Mookie Betts is not going to be able to, he can't play every position, So I feel like it wasn't worth the management's effort to try to give him, Mike Trout money, like you were saying.
Yeah.
When they know that we're not going to be a championship contending team, especially in the same division as the New York Yankees, who are stacked beyond belief. And so I also don't blame Mookie for not wanting to stay for less money for a team that's not going to, be doing anything serious, especially when you've experienced that high. You want to get that again. I mean, I don't blame him whatsoever. I don't think anybody's at fault except for, just the fact that our bullpen deteriorated, and I think it's just a part of the rebuild.
Yeah.
And you can't blame him like that. I'm sounding like Caden here interrupting. Go ahead.
No. I was gonna say for those listening on Spotify and shit, you didn't see this, but Anthony flexes his replica ring mid Graham rant. That was just a low key. He's flexing it again.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I saw him. I don't know if he meant to do that or not. And I was like, that's why I started laughing.
He most certainly meant to do it.
He accidentally held his hand up to the screen.
The thing is, though, when I laughed, I was expecting Anthony to crack, and he just straight face, didn't say anything. I was like, all right. Go ahead, Anthony. I mean, interrupt.
Yeah, when you say this is a player that's experienced that high of winning a championship, and by his decision of signing with the Dodgers and leaving the Red Sox, that shows his character. He realizes he's a generational talent. This guy's one of the best players in the country right now, maybe even the world right now. I don't know how far baseball goes out. I'm sure there's other great players in other nations, but I think Mookie's one of the best guys in the world right now. And he's realizing that he can go and win more championships, and he's not in it for the money. He wants to, maybe he can go down. I don't know. I don't know baseball. I'm sitting here wearing a Big Papi jersey, but I don't really know shit about baseball. That's just what I'm hearing. He sounds like he's a guy that wants to win as much as he can.
I want you guys to... Oh, go ahead, Jordan.
No, you got it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan Graham. I know you are baseball guys here, but Given the Dodgers' track record, I'm not too worried about Mookie going and winning a couple titles. I'm thinking they go out there with all that talent, maybe get to the World Series, come up short again, something like that. I'm not really too stressed about it.
Mm.
He can do what he wants. He can get that bag, but he ain't winning anything out there in LA.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that Dodgers team is, and I don't even want to compare this, but they're almost pushing the Warriors of 2017 with Bellinger and Mookie, both two former MVPs, and then Kershaw and Walker Buehler on the bump. I mean, like Kershaw has the ability to win a Cy Young, and they have two guys who have more than the ability to win MVP. I mean, if they don't win it this year, they're going to lose some guys. Yeah,
and then they've got like 6 or 7 other guys that can win Gold Gloves, Silver Slugger, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And like you got Max Muncy, you got
Justin Turner.
Yeah, Justin Turner. Just Corey Seager still plays for the
Seager. Yep.
Yeah, Corey Seager, and they're just ridiculous, man. Like that whole squad is. I hate the way that the salary cap in the MLB works. I hate it so much because big market teams can just get whoever they want. Because as long as the owner still has money in his pocket, you're pretty much going to be able to sign him for whatever you can pay him.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because luxury tax in MLB has a lot more holds a lot more weight. Because like when we beat the Dodgers in 2018, that season I believe they were resetting their luxury. And it's because Bellinger was still signed to his rookie deal. They had a bunch of guys who weren't, big names in terms of contracts yet. But they're now reaping the rewards of having reset their luxury tax, and now they can spend for a few years. But my take on it is, I think Mookie was looking this entire time to go into free agency, get into a bidding war with a couple of teams, get his $400+ million, and then unfortunately, coronavirus hits, and he's thinking on the Dodgers, this may be my best shot to get a big contract. I don't know, who knows what the market's going to look like in free agency next offseason. If our team's going to spend, our team's going to hold back. So if he can get his $360 million and sign that mega deal, I think he decided to do that. And I just don't think he wanted to play in Boston. I think he wanted, I think you're right, Anthony, that he wants to win. But I do think money played a huge part in it because, if you really wanted to play in a city you love, take for example Tom Brady, who took pay cut after pay cut. You would have done it, and we offered him, $300 million on a 10-year deal. He was going to be a Red Sox for life, and he said, I'm going to counter and add 2 more years on $120 more million. So I don't blame John Henry. I don't blame Mookie either. Like you said, Graham, I think there's not really anyone at fault. It's just, it's just a business.
I got something to ask. Regarding like the deal, I don't know when it became a huge thing in baseball, but like the huge, 10-year deal, 13-year deal, 12-year deal. Like, I don't get how, Mookie's going to be 40 years old getting whatever, $36 million, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
I don't understand, like, the thought process behind that because obviously he's not going to be the great player that he is now.
Yeah.
Even 10 years down the road. So I really don't get that if you guys want to, like,
touch on that. His contract, I looked into it because sometimes they have it where their average salary will, like, it'll work itself out where they get paid more now, but they get paid less later.
Front loaded, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But his doesn't really like that. He actually he'll get 22.5 next year, or for the next couple of years, and then when he's 30, whatever, late 30s, he's getting 32.5 a year, which is about as much as he's going to get during the 12 years he's signed. So I agree. I don't know. I don't understand that. I'm never one to sign anyone. I didn't even like the Trout deal when they signed Trout to that big contract, just because, you're one injury away 4 years into your career from it being a bad deal. And we talked about it when Mahomes signed his contract. I think it was either last week or the week before. That there's a lot that goes into signing someone to that big of a deal. It's not as simple as, do you want this player on your team for the rest of his career? Are you willing to, bet that this guy's going to stay healthy and stay at an elite level for a while? If Mookie comes out and hits 270 this year, and only gets 35 doubles or something like that, I mean, that's not a good deal for the Dodgers. And I don't know, they're putting a lot into, Mookie coming back and playing an MVP level, rather quickly.
Yeah. Well said.
No one else has anything else to add. We can move on. In other news, the NHL revealed their newest expansion team, their second one in, 2 years, 3 years, whenever Vegas came around.
3 years, I think.
Yeah. The Seattle Kraken is going to be obviously out of Seattle. And I don't know when all the expansion shit's going to go down, if it's going to be after the playoffs and before next, but it's so weird. No one knows when the next season's going to start, so who knows what's going to happen. But I'll go to Graham on this because you had some stark comments when they came out with their colorways and their jerseys. You were kind of disappointed.
I was incredibly disappointed. Okay, first of all, I love the logo though. I love the logo. Between the S
simple.
with it's simple but like effective, and then the secondary logo is cool too. All of the branding is awesome, but simply speaking from an aesthetic standpoint, I would have loved to see them incorporate the color purple because no other NHL team has the color purple. I think I mentioned it a couple episodes ago.
You did.
No NHL team has the color purple in their scheme ever since the Kings switched to black, white, and gray, or silver, whatever you want to call it. And the thing with the Seattle team name, so you're saying you don't know when all the expansion stuff is going to go down. I believe that they are beginning play in the 2021-2022 season.
Okay.
Which is, it would be not this upcoming season after what they're playing right now, but the next one after that. So what would happen is, at the end of next season, a lot of teams, all of the teams will have, there are certain requirements. I don't know the exact breakdown, but they'll have to do what they did when Vegas did their expansion draft.
What a couple of players,
Yeah, they have to. There's certain requirements for their protected players lists, and then the expansion draft will happen sometime during that off season before the season when they start play.
Yeah.
The thing that, I mean, the jerseys are clean. The jerseys are so clean. I will most definitely be getting one. I am disappointed that they didn't have a powder blue jersey in there, considering that was part of their color scheme, because powder blue jerseys in sports are always a win. Like, it doesn't matter who's wearing them. They're always a positive, something you like to see, and they don't have them in the NHL. So another navy blue team was kind of a disappointment. But all in all, I think that they're going to have a big fan base because Seattle, they've got the Seahawks, who are perennially good, and they've got the Mariners, who are always, it seems like they're always right there, but never good enough to do anything. Yeah. So I think Seattle will be a big NHL market. I think that they've got some big potential, especially because I think their GM is Ron Francis, who's my guy, being a Hurricanes fan. So I think they're going to succeed, but it remains to be seen. All the things that go down with the expansion draft and everything, it depends on what happens. Because if they get lucky like Vegas did, and a team is in a situation where, when Vegas was drafting the year before, Pittsburgh won the Stanley Cup, or maybe not the year before, maybe 2 years before, but they had to protect Matt Murray because he was the future of the goaltending position in Pittsburgh, and so they had to let Fleury walk. And so Vegas, in their first year, ended up with a top-tier goaltender in the league, and obviously ended up making the Stanley Cup Finals that year, losing to the Capitals. But I think that a lot of it depends on what happens with the protected players list, but I'm excited for the team. I'm definitely going to be getting a Seattle Kraken jersey at some point, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, they definitely.
I know
will.
when I got I'm so sorry. I'm so fucking bad at this.
No, bro, you're fine. You're fine. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
I
want to hear that analysis.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember this. I was just chilling in my house earlier, and I got the notification that the Seattle NHL team were officially the Kraken. I looked at the logo, and Graham is the first person I thought of. I'm like, there's no purple in this. He's going to pop a blood vessel on the podcast today. So I tweeted at him immediately. I retweeted it. I'm like, at Graham Tuck. You should follow all of us on Twitter, by the way, if you're not doing that already.
At _Graham Tuck. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And so at Graham Tuck is punching the air right now that there is no purple in this logo, and I thought and I thought he was going to be absolutely irate about that tonight, but he had a long
Well,
day today, so we'll give him a little.
Yeah. So, at the time of recording, right now it is 11:27 p.m. Eastern Time, and I just finished a day where I was out of town all day, 5 hours driving round trip. I am absolutely beat. So, if this were any other day, I would probably be a whole lot more passionate about the lack of purple in the Seattle color scheme, which is the smallest thing to be upset about. But knowing myself, I would have gone in for like 10, 15 minutes. We'll save that for another day once I come to my senses.
Yeah, one thing's for sure. They're definitely gonna have shoes to fill. I think a lot of people are gonna expect, greatness from them right off the bat, like Vegas. It's not gonna happen. But how Vegas just took the NHL by storm and made it to the Cup in their first year. But yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, because I don't know what they're gonna do because, do you think the NHL might shake up the protected players list rules based off of how easy it was for Vegas to succeed in their first year? Do you think they might, change up, players can protect or teams can protect more players so that you're not giving up all of these bona fide first liners to this expansion team. So
I mean, I would say the point of the expansion team is like what the NHL's thought process is that they're not going to be good the first year. They'll build through the draft to an extent. They'll use the first year free agency. Then they'll be able to get their team. It's not necessarily, they're not thinking like this first year they're going to get all these expansion players that teams didn't want and they're going to turn into a cup winning team. But evidently that's almost what happened with Vegas. I think I don't know. I like that. I like the mystery of the expansion team. I don't want them to just be like some bottom feeding team for the next couple of years. But also, I can see Fleury getting put up by the Penguins was obviously not something they wanted to do, but something they had to do. It'll be interesting when that goes down. We can move on now to we'll touch on the Patriots quickly. We kind of talked about it a couple weeks ago about Cam Newton and Stidham back when Newton got signed, but there's now more talk and more disagreements going on with Patriots fans about who deserves a starting spot. Some people, I won't name names, think that Stidham is better than Cam Newton.
Caden, do it. Caden is the one who thinks that he's better for no reason.
Now he's got people on his side. He's got
Babs can back it up.
Babs, he's got Joe.
Back it up.
Joe Stafford's on his side too.
But I'll give Babs credit because he's admitted that there's not necessarily proof that Stidham is better or isn't better. So, but at the moment, it's almost like a guilty or innocent until proven guilty. You can't knock a guy who threw for 25 touchdowns a couple years ago, who had a pretty good season, and say that he's worse than a guy who has thrown 4 passes in the NFL. So it's kind of like you can't knock Newton off of his pedestal until Stidham actually does it, But I think we all have the same kind of thought process of Newton, is the more talented QB. But do you guys think it's, feasible that Belichick starts Stidham just because he's looking at, maybe the future of the team rather than just this season?
I could see that, honestly.
Go ahead, yeah. I mean,
no, because I was.
Yeah, sorry. I thought you were done. I'm so sorry.
What's going on with me today, man?
This is a great podcast. This is our best one so far.
Yeah, for real. No, but I hopped on Babs' Instagram live before when he was taking in fans. I haven't talked to him in a while. Shout out Babs. So, we were talking about the whole Stidham and Newton conversation. He thinks, because, and I've been talking about it here, that's going to light the fire under Stidham's ass, bringing in a quarterback like that. And when we brought in Cam Newton, everybody started shitting on Jarrett Stidham in the Instagram comment section. He had to turn off his comments for a little while. He was on vacation. He wanted to enjoy himself. As soon as he came back, those comments went on, and he called up the boys. He called up Edelman. He called up Harry. He called up Senier. He called up the 2 rookie tight ends we just drafted. And they started working out together. So you can see this kid's got drive in him. And I think Belichick's going to see that too. I don't know what. I think Cam Newton did. I think there was an interview with him or something like that. That was blowing up everywhere. And I didn't watch it yet. I didn't listen to it yet. So I can't really talk on that. But I can see just based on his work ethic, Belichick's going to start Stidham.
Yeah.
I think that, no matter who starts, really, I think it's in terms of long-term production or long-term goals for the team, whatever Stidham does, whatever happens with him, whether he starts and gets the experience or sits on the bench and watches Cam Newton and learns from him underneath a former MVP, I really don't think like anything's going to hurt the team. In terms of short-term success, who really knows what condition Cam's going to be in or how good Stidham's really going to be this year. But obviously, you know, I think New England, from what we've heard anyway about Stidham, has two talented quarterbacks, one who's young, trying to prove himself, like you said, Anthony. Obviously has a fire under his ass now with Cam Newton there. And then another quarterback who's, you know, kind of been through a rough patch these past couple of years and obviously wants to prove himself and prove the haters wrong and kind of, you know, give the finger to the organization that wronged him. So,
yeah,
it's going to be really interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing a little QB battle first couple weeks of the season. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know what train I'm on right now, Stidham or Newton. I just want to see nice, good competition, some good football come football season.
Like literally, may the best man win.
yeah,
Like whoever's going to be better for the team.
Go at it, right?
I don't care who it is.
yeah.
That's where I am. I feel like I will be satisfied no matter who the week 1 starter is. My problem will come if and when whoever is named the week 1 starter isn't doing well enough for us to succeed and they leave him in for too long.
Yeah.
I feel like whoever is the week 1 starter needs to be on a short leash because we have a at least semi-viable option at the second string. And I mean, we had a semi-viable option before we signed Cam Newton between Stidham and Hoyer. But now that we have Cam Newton in the mix as well, I feel like you have to have a very short leash on whoever is the starter. I mean, based on the way that the schedule looks right now, we've got I think we open with Miami.
we do.
And then
Open
we've
Miami,
got
Seattle,
and then we've got Vegas, Kansas City, Denver, which is
That's tough.
you know,
That's a tough
it's
string.
tough. It's a tough stretch, but
2 and 3.
I mean, yeah, not yet, bro.
yeah, no.
I know it's satire, but like, I mean, if you leave whoever's in there for too long, it doesn't matter how tough the opponents are. Like if the quarterback is just not performing and you keep leaving him in there just to see what's going on, which is, I mean, we're talking about Bill freaking Belichick. I don't think it's something that we're going to have to worry about. But if and when that becomes an issue, that is when I will be upset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think Newton is like he's starting to become, and I don't want this to happen, but you know the argument of like someone is said to be so underrated that they start to become overrated.
Damian
I kind of
Lillard.
think I think both of those are right. But I think people there's so much hate towards Newton from certain, not hate, but kind of like hesitance, disrespect, towards Newton that there's certain section of Patriots fans that are thinking he's going to come in and, you know, like wipe the floor with an MVP like run. And I think he's playing that too of like all these videos he's putting out and
the videos are kind of annoying me, not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's like
if he goes out there and like sucks,
yeah,
he's gonna look like an absolute moron.
I mean, if he comes out and beats Miami, if we get the dub, no matter what, it doesn't happen, or it doesn't matter. Yeah. But if he goes out against Seattle and doesn't perform well or throws 4 picks and a touchdown, no one's really expecting us to win that game. But if he doesn't perform, you know, people are going to be mad at him because he's coming out and talking, you know, all this crap about he's going to go on this, you know, run against all the teams. He's going to check off who passed on him and stuff. And if he doesn't come out and light it up in the first couple of games, like I agree with Graham and Anthony too, like just bring in the best guy. You know, if he's not performing, like just get Stidham in there and see what happens.
But one more thing I want to touch on with who went first there? I don't even know. Who started going?
No, you go ahead. I gotta pull this up real quick.
Okay, so I think the biggest loser in this whole thing, going back on the other side, is Stidham with no preseason, because even if he were to play a preseason game, even if there was just the one preseason game and he doesn't perform as well as everyone expected, Cam Newton's going to be the starter solely because he's Cam Newton and he has the MVP. He's got the resume to back it up. And maybe it's just meant to be this way with no preseason for New England, because I honestly think as of right now, it's going to be Stidham week 1. That's me tonight. Maybe I can wake up tomorrow and I can think Cam Newton's going to be the starter. As we're recording right now, I think Jared Stidham's going to be the starter. Just looking at everything and the way he's working, I just don't see the same energy from Cam Newton.
So I'm looking at the Patriots schedule right now, and Jordan, you brought up in that video, like the whatever it was called, the discussion he had with Todd Gurley, Odell Beckham Jr., and Victor Cruz.
Yeah.
The video that absolutely blew up on Instagram and all of that. He's talking about that team passed on me. That team passed on me. I'm looking at the number of teams that we play that could have legitimately had a space for Cam Newton in a starting role. You've got Miami, who we play twice. Seattle has Russell Wilson, so they're not going to pick him up. Las Vegas, maybe, but Derek Carr is still kind of the guy there. You got Kansas City, obviously not him. Denver's not looking for a quarterback because they got Drew Lock, and John Elway is more sold on him than he's been sold on a quarterback in a long time. You got San Francisco. You got Buffalo. Neither of them are looking for a quarterback. The Jets have Sam Darnold. Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, not going to do anything. Houston might have been able to pick him up because Deshaun Watson there's rumors that he might not be coming back. So that's 3 teams through 11 weeks. Arizona just drafted Kyler Murray, number 1 overall, rookie of the year. The Chargers are the only other team on the schedule that could have actually picked up Cam Newton. So of the 16 games that we're scheduled to play, 5 of them are against teams that could have picked up Cam Newton. So I think that I just think that whole thing about him, like that team passed, that's just ridiculous to me because literally none of the teams that we play were in the market for a quarterback. But
and really I'd really only consider the Chargers to be a team that would have signed him. Out of those,
to be honest, I was kind of reaching with the other ones.
Yeah, exactly.
We even said that the Chargers were the one team months ago that could have picked him up.
Yeah. Another thing I want to talk about. Go ahead, Jordan.
No, you got it. Yeah.
Okay. Is at the end of the day, like, you can talk about Belichick's drafting and some of his trades or whatever, but at the end of the day that the guy who's gonna, lead us to or give us the best chance to win a game is going to be on the field. Just because I don't think there's anybody better at evaluating talent to be on the field than Bill Belichick. So I'm going to be comfortable, with whatever decision he actually ends up making. Like Graham says, Bill freaking Belichick. So, just something to keep in mind is he's going to give us the best opportunity to win. Yeah, nothing to worry about.
Well said. That'll wrap that up. We'll get more into it, obviously, once the season starts getting closer. And maybe a starter gets carved out earlier than we think. If we start to see signs or details revealed. But we're getting closer to our top 10 list. We're still saving that. We'll mention a couple other things. Mike Tyson, this isn't really Boston related, but Mike Tyson has, I don't know, unretired, I guess you could say, and is coming back to fight. Who's he fighting?
I couldn't tell you.
I have no idea who it is.
Does it really matter?
No.
It seems like his initials are like RJJ or something. It's like Robbie Jones Jr. or something.
Some other
Chandler Jones's brother.
I mean, I don't really have anything to say about
Chandler
it.
Jones is dead.
It's more of just like it's
Roy Jones Jr.
news that occurred today. I don't know if you
I don't know. I really don't know how I feel about this. Obviously, this is going to make millions upon millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But at what fucking expense?
Yeah.
How old is Mike Tyson? And he's going to be putting himself through that training again?
He's got to be in his 50s, right?
I don't know, man. He looks like he's in pretty good shape. And the guy he's going against is 51.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do we know what weight class they're going to be getting into? I'm getting really technical here. Like, do we know what weight they're going to be fighting?
It's gonna be like that. It's gonna be like that video of Beetlejuice with the boxing gloves on.
Trying to whack guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's gonna be weird. And staying on the boxing subject, Nate Robinson is set to fight Jake Paul. I never thought I'd say that.
That's 2023.
Yeah.
It's just Steven Pilot shit.
Yeah. This is just. I'm sorry. I want Nate Robinson to win, bro, but I think
Jake
Jake
Paul's
Paul's going to
beat
knock
his
him
ass,
out.
but I don't know.
How short is Nate Robinson? 5'6"?
He's
5'5"? With 5'9"?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Paul's got a couple inches on him, I think. I don't know, man. It's
6'1". But
so it's,
But
I
Mike
feel like
Tyson,
what about him?
is he going to be cutting a shit ton of weight? Because I just watched that.
You're going back to that.
I just watched.
Dude, did you lag?
I watched a flow. No, I didn't lag. I watched a flow film today about cutting weight and like the dangers of it. I just watched this today, and I'm trying to like, oh, look what I know. And how is he going to be able to How is he going to be able to do that at that age? Like, even the most minimum weight cut is absolutely brutal because you're taking all the water out of your body. You're just sweating all the water you possibly can out. And a guy like his age, he could be bad. I don't know.
So the guy who's fighting is 193 pounds listed, and Mike Tyson is listed at 240. So it's quite the disparity there.
Jesus,
we'll see.
But then again, that might be fat Mike Tyson the way in. So I don't know.
So
whatever. Mike Tyson. I want to see Mike Tyson knock someone out.
I would not want to meet Mike Tyson. He's freaking. Even at 54, dude, he looks terrifying.
He's like, he's not even just scared out of that. I feel like he's just like, he's always got that boxing mentality, like, even like just walking around.
Yes, absolutely.
So, most boxing news you'll probably ever see on our podcast. So get your fix in. We'll move on now to the coveted top 10 new guys list. This week, we're staying home for some of us. For me and Pat, we're staying home. For the other two, they're coming to Boston.
Where you wish we're home.
It's my home at heart.
Home in your heart, yeah. I don't know about Graham. Graham, what do you consider your? It's Carolina, right?
Yeah.
But you're a Patriots fan, so you got extra points.
And Red Sox fan.
Yeah. So we're doing top 10 best.
He has a summer house in Boston.
Best Boston sports athletes ever, or greatest, however you want to categorize it.
And if you're listening to us on Spotify, I have a Red Sox jersey on. Jordan's got a Pats jersey. Yeah. Graham's got a Bruins jersey, and Pat's got whatever the fuck on. He's got a
because I couldn't find it. Hey,
way to ruin the fun.
You got the
I
flag.
got a sweatshirt. Right? I try my best.
Oh, it's a sweatshirt. I thought it was a flag. All right, you should throw that on. Throw that on and suffer in the heat.
Keep me warm.
Pat's down in his recording dungeon.
My cold, dank basement. You see the bars in the windows, so I can't get out.
All right, so we can get this started. Does anyone want? I guess I'll start it off. We'll go honorable mentions. I didn't really have any. I kind of forgot to put some, but I'll throw a couple of guys out there. I'll throw Pedro out there. I think he was close to making my list, and then I'll throw Kevin McHale as well. One of the 86 guys, Celtics guys, who definitely is up there in Celtics greats, but I couldn't put him over anyone. I have my top 10, so I guess we'll just move right into 10 through 6. So 10, I
have honorable mentions as well.
Yeah, but
does anyone else have honorable mentions?
But don't we go through and then?
We should do all their honorable mentions first.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So my honorable mentions, I had 3. I had Paul Pierce, David Ortiz, and Ty Law.
Dude, you don't have David Ortiz in your
David Ortiz an honorable mention?
I have Ortiz in an honorable mention.
Graham's cooking something up.
You're wearing his jersey, bro. The disrespect.
You're wearing his jersey?
This is the only thing that would have worked today.
All right.
It's the only Sox jersey I got.
All I'm going to say, you're going to get a ton of heat when we post this graphic. A ton of heat.
Okay.
Disrespect Poppy.
I'm okay with that.
All right, let's. What else we got?
Kind of shook.
I think the rest of my list is gonna wow everybody with the stats I have now.
Okay.
Because I'm a football guy.
I have Ty Law, Pedro Martinez, and Ray Bork as my honorable mentions.
No Bork on there. Okay. All right.
He just barely missed the cut. I had him on there when I originally made this list, and then I kept thinking up names. I had him as high as 9 at one point, and then I had to drop him a little bit.
I can respect it. I've got Paul Pierce, Zdeno Chara, giving some love to the kind of like
Chara's
late
good.
2000s, early 2010s, and Bob Cousy, just because Why not?
Who's he? He was close to mine too. I should have threw him in there. He's just a, I don't know. I don't know what to say about him.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Old.
Yeah.
Old, forgettable.
All right. I'll move into the 10 through 6. We'll do the same format we did last week. That seemed to work out best. So at 10, I have John Havlicek of the Celtics. At 9, I have Paul Pierce. At 8, I have Bill Russell. At 7, I have Phil.
Let's not get into that right now.
I got Phil Esposito at 7, and then I have Ray Bork at 6.
Do you have Shaq over Bill Russell on this Boston list too?
This isn't the greatest centers list.
Okay.
Bill Russell. All right, who's going next? I got next. All right. So at number 10, I have Pedro Martinez of the Red Sox. Number 9, I have John Hanna of the Patriots. Number 8, I have Robert Parrish of the Celtics. Number 7, I have Ray Bork of the Bruins. And this pained me. At number 6, I have Rob Gronkowski of the Patriots.
Wow.
Honestly, I didn't even think of Gronk.
I'll save my count.
I'm going to say for Pedro Martinez, that was literally a coin flip between him and David Ortiz. Just if maybe, like I said, with the Stidham and Newton debate, like if I might wake up tomorrow and regret that. And maybe
you most certainly will regret that tomorrow.
Yeah, when the graphic goes up.
I don't see how that's a coin flip at all. I don't see that at all.
We got to remember, he doesn't really know baseball like that.
Yeah. It's
okay.
All right.
Number 10, I got Robert Parrish. And number 9, I got Gronk on there. Number 8, I got Carl Yastrzemski of the Red Sox. Number 7, John Hanna of the New England Patriots. And number 6, I have Bill Russell.
Okay. Well, you'd have Russell higher. You love the guy.
I don't. I really don't. Also, okay, so last week, Jordan and I got into it about Bill Russell. And then after we recorded the episode, I want to give him credit where it's due. I looked into some of the stats. We had a deeper conversation about it. And I truly did not realize how vastly I was underrating Hakeem Olajuwon. So I need to put that on the air. Yeah, I need to put that on the air so that it doesn't stay in the shadows.
Yeah, you're right.
I was ill-informed, and so I have seen the light, and I now view Hakeem in a greater light, to sound redundant.
Put him over Bill Russell?
Yeah.
Oh, he does. Let's go. Mission accomplished.
Trading.
Mission accomplished.
But it's like I said.
Don't listen to this nonsense Jordan's spewing you.
No, listen.
No, it's fact.
If you take titles out of the conversation entirely, I think that Hakeem was a much more dynamic player than Bill Russell, and it's not even close. But the fact that Bill Russell won 11 titles in 13 years will always leave room for an argument for him to be over any player that you could name, except for, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, some of those top 2 or 3 guys. So
Hakeem is the greatest defensive player ever. Hot take.
Ben Wallace.
Avery Bradley would like a word with you.
He's better than. I think he's a better defensive player than Bill Russell. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, go ahead, Pat.
I just switched up my list a little bit. You'll find out later. 10, I got Ray Bork. 9, I've got Pedro. 8, I've got Havlicek. 7, I've got Carl Yastrzemski. And number 6, I got Big Papi.
I forgot to put Yaz on. I don't know if I forgot or he didn't.
I was considering not putting him on it, but then I was just.
It's really tough because with that stretch of the 86 years without the Red Sox winning, none of those guys have a title. So, and I know titles aren't that important in baseball. MLB, but it's still it still adds maybe if they have a ring, it puts them over someone, and it's none of them have that, unfortunately.
That's why I gave Ortiz not over.
Yeah.
Ortiz has
3.
Does he have 3?
Yeah, 3. 13.
No, he has 4. No, 3. I'm
7 and 04. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish he was on the team.
Make that graphic yet, right?
I haven't done anything.
So can I go out on a limb and replace Pedro with David? I feel that hearing all.
He's already started. You're gonna get heat for having Ortiz at 10 too. I think.
I don't care as long as he's on.
Well, yeah. Well, we always got some. We always got some. after some
Fine.
deeper research. So
After
that'll
further
get done.
analysis.
No,
but Pedro, I don't know. His stats wowed me for some reason.
he's
He spent
definitely
He's a great pacer.
I think he gets knocked because he didn't
amazing.
spend as much time as anyone else on
I mean,
this list.
if you're talking about Boston athletes, like, because he didn't spend his whole career, or
yeah.
most of it anyway.
Yeah, if we should explain that we're not like if we were doing like athletes like who were on a Boston team, like Shaq
Right, it'd be
would
way
probably be
different.
on- Yeah, like we're talking about with their time with the team.
Babe Ruth would probably be like
And
number
Pedro
one.
was only
Hayward.
on the team what 98 to 04 or something like that.
Yeah, it was something short. I mean, I don't think no one has a problem with Pedro being on the list. I think it's that Ortiz wasn't on the list. It was more of the shock.
Whatever. I don't care.
But
That was
all
in the
right,
past. All right, we're moving on.
we can move into the top 5 now.
I think my top 5 is valid.
I think okay.
Guess we'll see.
Me and Anthony don't have the same guys, but I think we have the same 5. I have Ted Williams at 5. I've got Poppy at 4. I've got Larry Bird at 2. 3. Bobby Orr at 2, and the GOAT Tom at 1.
Yeah, I think we had the same. I had Ted Williams at 5, Bill Russell at 4, and then 3 Larry Bird, Bobby Orr at 2, and 1 Tom Brady.
I like that. I like the Bobby Orr respect.
Hey, I wasn't like you guys know I'm not the most knowledgeable in hockey, but I knew that Bobby Orr was a big name that I should look a little more into, and I couldn't deny the numbers. I'm gonna just read off his stats. Obviously he's the greatest defensive player in NHL history. He's got 6 straight Norris trophies. That's for defensive player of the year. I'm just flexing at this.
Let's go. I love to see it.
He was the only defenseman to win the scoring title twice in a row, or he was the only one to win it overall for a defenseman, but he did it twice in a row. So
yeah.
That's your hockey fact of the day.
A stud. A true stud.
Yeah.
Hockey 101 with Anthony over here.
If he had a couple more rings, there's an argument to be made that he is 2 ever right behind Gretzky, and maybe even pushes Gretzky. I don't even want to make that hot take, but
Stop it.
Bobby Orr is so underrated in the sense that people think he's like so far back from like Lemieux and Gretzky, and I think I would even put him ahead of Lemieux. And I think if he would have won a couple more titles, that he would have pushed Gretzky as the greatest hockey player ever.
I know my dad would argue with you that if he didn't get hurt and like have his back, go to shit when he was 30 years old, he definitely could have contended with him.
Yep.
But,
Graham,
I guess you cue.
Graham, you up?
So yeah, it's me. So I got Ted Williams at number 5.
Yeah.
I got Larry Bird at number 4.
Ooh.
Okay.
Big Poppy number 3. Bobby Orr number 2, and the GOAT Tom Brady number 1.
Yep.
This is this the 3rd list that we've done since we've started this with the 4 of us, that all 4 of us have Tom Brady at the top of our list?
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, because we did QBs all time,
21st century quarterback.
21st century, and then this. Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't speak too soon, but Patrick, if you don't have...
Pat's scribbling.
Don't worry.
No,
You won't
I'm
be
confident.
Before
upset.
Pat goes, when I was doing my list, I actually had the thought of putting Bobby Orr over Tom Brady at one point. Just looking into it. I don't know. That's me. But you can't deny Tom Brady because we're basically a football page at this point.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'd get ripped to shreds if I said anybody besides
Well,
God himself.
Yeah.
I think
here's the other thing, too. Because Tom Brady turned Boston into a city of winning sports again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because before that 2000-2001 championship season, when he took over and we won the Super Bowl, when he was in his 2nd year, I mean, I can't tell you the exact last time that a Boston sports team won a championship, but it was a while back.
Yeah.
I think it was the Celtics.
Yeah, it was the 80s.
And the level of dominance that occurred from 2000, 2001, whatever you want to say, to 2019 by the Patriots, all headlined by Tom Brady, I think puts that over Orr just because Orr ran into that like stacked Canadian squad for so many years where they just, I mean, they tore apart the NHL every year. And like this, I mean, Orr was a dominant player, but again, he doesn't have necessarily the titles to back up how dominant he really was. That's why I think he gets underrated a lot. But I would still put just Brady's, I mean, every single year was a Super Bowl contending year, theoretically. Everyone thought the Patriots could win the Super Bowl that year. Maybe aside from, when Brady got injured, but, every healthy Brady year going into that season, everyone thought we have a chance. And that's something that not a lot of players can do.
And if we're going accolades and stats and everything that weighs into, like, factoring the greatest players, in our case, we were talking on our group chat earlier, I think, Jordan, you were like, are we going by stats or, into, like, whatever it is, rings, whatever. Brady has everything. Some of these guys, some of these guys don't have the rings. Some of them, their careers were cut short, but Brady's got fucking everything. So I guess I'll just go with mine real quick. Okay, so actually, I'll say it and then I'll explain. Ted Williams is at 5, Bill Russell's at 4, Larry Bird's at 3, Bobby Orr's at 2, and Brady's at 1. But at one point, I had Bill Russell at 2, and then we were talking about it, and I was like, there's no way I can have Bill Russell over Bobby Orr and Larry Bird just because he's not, in terms of talent, there's no way he's above those guys.
Yeah.
So I can put him above Ted Williams because Ted Williams doesn't have the rings. So
yeah, that's the thing. It's like it just goes back to the debate of like how much do you value rings, no matter what the time period. It's like if there was 8 teams in the league, if the league was split with the NBA and the ABA, or if talent wasn't that big, does that matter? Does that factor into? I think it should to an extent. I think it should a little bit more than some people do. But like, I don't think if you put Bill Russell at 2, I don't think you'd have a lot of people mad at you because you can justify it with he has 11 rings,
Right.
Which is what I was saying earlier.
Yeah,
you'll always be able to make an argument for Bill Russell.
Yeah,
and
I think that's the same for both sides. I mean, people that don't rank Bill Russell high can say that offensively he wasn't great. He played in a worse era. He was only 8 teams. It was split between the talent was split between the NBA and the ABA. But I think you're never going to find a middle ground really, because I think rings in some people's minds just hold more weight no matter when they were acquired.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that easily the order of how important rings are in the 4 leagues is most important in the NFL, then NBA, then NHL, then MLB. And MLB and NHL are way below the other 2. So, yeah, in terms of individual accomplishments, I think that it shouldn't be disputed.
I want to say, I think NFL, I think it matters more for a quarterback, though.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I think in the NBA, like, let's say that compared to, like, whatever, any other position but quarterback in the NFL, I think it matters more for the NBA.
I agree.
But, like, obviously quarterback NFL, definitely.
I agree. Way to qualify that, yeah.
Yeah. I think
Did anyone go ahead? I was going to go off on a different thing, but if you guys are still on this,
no, I just wanted to mention. I think Bird Ortiz, I think are fairly like you can flip them around and there's not much discretion. Just because like you can.
They kind of have the same accolades almost,
and they're very. Bird brought back what Bill Russell. I mean, Bill Russell when he retired, there was a 10-year decade or so, kind of just gray area where the Celtics weren't a great team, weren't winning, and Bird brings that back in the '80s and makes them a contender every year, and Ortiz did the same thing of the curse for 86 years, and then 03 and then 04, competing for a title, obviously winning in 04. So they both were fantastic players. Both won, rings and are both absolute beasts in terms of, where they rank in Boston history. But I think they're pretty similar in how much of an impact they had.
Well, I disagree with that because you're correct in everything you said about how Larry Bird made the Celtics winners again. But if you want to understand truly how much of an impact David Ortiz had on the city of Boston, go and watch, I think it's called 4 Nights in October, the E60 about
Mm-hmm.
the '04 Yankees Red Sox ALCS when we were down 3-0 and came back, won 4 games in a row, went on to win the World Series, and that was complete. I mean, you had the Dave Roberts steal, obviously. You had the bloody sock game. There were multiple components to that 4-game stretch where they came back and overtook the Yankees. But most of that damage was done by Poppy, and he went beast mode. There's no other way to put it. And the way that, I mean, they've got cameras in all these bars in downtown Boston, and just seeing all of these people, just the way that they react to this one player, the way that they frame it in that documentary is something that, the last time I watched that film was at least 5 years ago, and I still haven't forgotten it. It just sticks with you.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Like the impact on the city of Boston, David Ortiz, I think beats Bird in that. But I think there's an argument to be made of when you're looking at accolades and you're looking at skill in obviously their respective sports, there's an argument to be made that Bird competes with Ortiz as in terms of how talented they were at their sport. And I think the accolades show for both of them. And then it comes down to
also took steroids. So
yeah, that's a knock on him definitely. But I do think though Bird, like you say that like the impact of like people watching at bars and how much he helped the city. But I also think I think Bird gets underrated in that where people don't. He was such an icon in the late '80s, the '86 team, the '87, '85. In the city of Boston, he, like I said, I think he's something that the Celtics missed for years without Bill Russell, and kind of the new generation, the '70s generation that are now in their college years, never saw the Celtics as a very successful team, and then Bird comes in and is kind of the icon that you've been missing, for a while. But I can see, like I said, Ortiz over Bird, I don't have a problem with at all.
I give Larry Bird the credit just because he dominated in perhaps the most competitive time in NBA history when you had Magic and Michael Jordan was coming up, and you had, I think Hakeem was around then. And it was always that Lakers-Celtics rivalry. You know what I'm trying to get at. But Larry Bird still dominated at that time. He could have easily, but obviously look at the help around him. I put Robert Parrish on the list over a couple Celtics legends from the times of Bill Russell, just because maybe they might not have had the stats and the accolades to go with it, but he still did. What did he do? I'm just trying to double check. 4-time NBA champion, a 9-time All-Star, but he was a 4-time NBA champion on a Hall of Fame team during the most dominant, not the most dominant, the most competitive era in the NBA. Yeah. So that's why I gotta give that the '80 Celtics, more credit than the Celtics of Bill Russell's time when he won 11 championships.
Yeah.
Definitely with Bird too. What gave him the edge over Ortiz was, I think he's the only, maybe not the only, I don't know if there were guys back in like the 60s or something, but he was the last player to win 3 MVPs in a row. I think 85, 86, 87.
Yeah.
And, obviously David Ortiz had like a huge impact on the culture of Boston, especially after, the marathon bombings back in 2013. I don't want to make this an explicit video, so I'm not going to quote him. I don't know.
You're too late. You already dropped.
Too late. Okay, so this is our fucking city. That whole year, it just felt like meant to be. And then, but also on the other hand, you have Larry Bird, kind of this guy, this really Irish-looking, pale-skinned, unathletic dude who kind of embodied Boston. Boston Celtics. Larry Joe. He's both guys just icons culturally and in the sports universe. So, both of them obviously great pillars of Boston sports.
I remember vividly. I was sitting in what is now my sister's room, but it was kind of like a game room at the time. It was in October of 2013, and I remember it was Patriots Saints. And I had been watching the entire football game, and I go because the Red Sox had a playoff game against the Tigers that started right around when the fourth quarter of the Saints game was starting. So I'm flipping it back and forth between commercial breaks. And that Saints game was the one where, you had the Brady to Kimbrel Tompkins touchdown at the very end of regulation to win the game, which is one of my favorite Tom Brady plays of all time. And then as soon as that game is over, I'm already jumping out of my chair and making a big ruckus upstairs. As soon as that game finishes, I switch it over to the Tigers game, and the Tigers are just beating up on the Red Sox. And then all of a sudden, David Ortiz comes up and slams that big salami with the bullpen cop and Torrey Hunter flipping over the wall in the same night. And so
it's chills.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time I watch that, even to this day.
Yeah.
Literal chills.
Ortiz has good luck. He has so many clutch. Exactly. That's all you have to say, really. So many clutch moments. Last thing I'll say on Bird, though, is that I think I would have Bird higher on all time. I mean, for me, I have Bird at 5 for all time, and I think I'd have him higher than Ortiz on my all time MLB list, so that factored in as well. Or like Ortiz, just it's ridiculous how clutch he's been over the years. If no one else has anything to say, we can wrap it up.
My laptop's getting kind of low.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up here. It's now midnight. It's now the next day, 12:09. We've been doing some late night recordings, but we get it done. We don't want
taking a toll.
You gotta do.
We don't want to miss a week.
That's true.
So we'll come. We'll be at.
We do it for the fans.
All 45 of you out there, we appreciate it.
Yeah, if you're listening to us, thank you for making it this far. But we'll be back sometime next week.
The best is still yet to come of us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'll keep getting better. We'll keep. I'm gonna try to get a better mic for better quality, especially for Spotify. That'll wrap it up. We'll come back next week, and hopefully there'll be some more news, and we'll get more into the NBA and the NHL and the MLB too, as it starts back up, and we finally have sports back. All right. See you guys next week.
See you later.